we were different people, but it was okay, because what really counted was what was inside and what we manifested in our relationships with one another.
Some people thought it was too bizarre, too off the wall, but the majority of the people, and at least my friends, people I knew, that really aren't like me that much, but they loved the show.
I think it made people think about how they might be different and than their neighbors and not really even know. They might not know their neighbors are different than them, and it's okay.
Here were these odd people from a foreign land with their strange customs, but they were happy and they were living the American dream.
People could relate more to that atmosphere and the style and the situations that people are in because they dealt with just common everyday life.
The Addams Family sort of took the cliche of an American family and just burned it up.
Well, sitcoms, in the early days, I guess you'd call it a television now, were basic comedies about family and different things and family problems. And then the Addams Family came along and changed all of that.
I think the golden age of television, 50s, early 60s, the family sitcom, anyway, was so wholesome, Puritan, that before the Addams Family, it was very much a well-rounded family. Leave it to Beaver, father knows best. The dad works in the insurance company, comes home, mom's got dinner waiting on the table. I think that the Addams Family gave television sort of a skewed look at an American family.
Ah, it's midnight.
The perfect time for a little family picnic. We'll surprise the children.
Oh, darling, they have to get up so early to go to school.
Well, then we'll leave them here. That should certainly surprise them.
The Addams Family was kind of the first show that opened me up to like 60s TV and sitcoms. And I really dug how like their view of the outside world was the opposite. Like everything that we thought was normal or what, you know, normal 50s and 60s sitcoms said was normal, they thought it was totally bizarre. And that was like the main thing. I just thought it was so cool to see that completely opposite point of view, but yet in the same, done in the same way. Like they weren't horrible people, they were a loving family, but they were considered the opposite of what was normal.
When the Addams Family came along, they really stood out from the crowd. They had a very strong, unique cultural identity as a family. And like most of America, they seem to have come from some other place. Like the family on the show, you know, I came from a background where my family had its own cultural identity, let's put it that way. And so in some ways, I related to the Addams Family.
It really was a wholesome family in that sense. Just dark, very macabre, sometimes sinister. Rarely evil, not quite as evil as the Charles Addams cartoons, let's say.
Would you mind turning this just a little bit? I'm trying to get rid of a headache. Oh, that's so soothing.
The problem was, and as John Aston told me as well, and producer Nat Perrin, that they couldn't translate the macabre and sinister, evil, sometimes, portrayal of the characters and the humor. And they couldn't take that from the cartoons and on the flat page and really put it onto television because it really wouldn't work. So what they did was they translated his humor into a more bizarre and surreal and wacky and zany type of Addams Family. And it worked. And there is some dark, macabre humor in the Addams Family, but just not quite as dark and malevolent as the characters from the Charles Addams cartoons.
Letitia, Cousin It has the perfect solution to all my problems.
What did he say?
He said I should shoot myself.
That sounds rather simple. I'll join you.
I was a little awestruck at trying to bring out what Charlie had in his cartoons. I feel he was not just a brilliant artist, but really had something to say. So in analyzing them, I could see that he would attack the cliche through the device of implied violence. That is, he'd have a panel with this woman in a long black dress going next door and saying, "May I borrow a cup of cyanide?" Ultimately, I thought, you know, Charles Addams is trying to reveal to us the joy of life. And that's what I based Gomez on.
John Astin as Gomez nailed it. He acted like you would think if the cartoon could speak, that would be it. He was identical to it. I mean, he had the whole thing, the cigar, the expressions he had, the whole thing. He had this sort of fishy eyes type thing that the cartoon had, which was great. And his demeanor was everything. And it was like the cartoon had come to life.
I loved John Astin in the role of Gomez Addams. He had so much passion for life. He had passion for his children. He had passion for his wife. And you never saw that on television prior to then. You almost never saw parents kiss in the American sitcom. So he brought a vigor and an energy and excitement and that quirkiness that just made him so special.
Ought to be able to get an excellent moonburn tonight.
Gomez, darling, what would we do if a Martian did land right here?
We'd do what any red-blooded American would do. Run!
I think that the route that producer Nat Perrin and David Levy took on the Addams Family show was just the right approach in making the characters a little twisted, a little bizarre, and the humor came out of that.
Yeah, darling. Cleopatra, don't gulp.
Carolyn Jones, for one thing, is one of the most beautiful ladies I ever saw, I think. And when I saw her as Morticia, I mean, not only was she just a hot number and really looked great, she was Morticia. She looked like she floated when she walked. She almost looked like she was floating around, which is really cool. She had the great figure for it because Morticia had a great figure in the cartoon. And she had the look, and she had that great, like, sultry voice that she used and stuff. And here again, it was the cartoon literally come to life.
Morticia Addams was very different from the typical sitcom mother. If we think of Donna Reed, she was always slightly put upon, trying to figure out, you know, why are my children doing this? How am I going to make the bake sale and still look, you know, still look wonderful and make dinner in time and get Beef to his Little League game? Morticia Addams didn't have those kind of concerns. There was an elegance about Morticia Addams. For one thing, she was sexy. How did they get away with being sexy on television in 1964? And in some way, because the whole family was weird, the Addamses were strange, in some way her sensuality was just part of that strangeness. They never addressed it as being sexy or sensual, but, you know, and maybe as children, we didn't even know what it was. But the grown-ups knew, and that was certainly an appeal for adult viewers.
Oh, what a lovely sign.
We're gonna paste a picture on it, too.
Oh, that's a marvelous attention getter. You children are going to be fine little merchants.
I think the dynamic between Pugsley and Wednesday is a terrific portrayal to look at for two kids. You know, they're playful with each other, but you rarely see them fight. Rarely saw them have problems between themselves, between Pugsley and Wednesday, because they were into the same thing. You know, they liked blowing up things, playing with spiders, finding animals, and had very little respect or need for school. And what kid didn't like that?
Those kids, they were just like, they were the scariest kids in the world. They're the kids you don't want even living in the neighborhood. They'll burn your house down. I wouldn't want them playing in my yard. God only knows what they'd dig up or even bury.
Gadzooks, I may have created a Frankenstein.
The Addams Family is often compared to the Munsters, since they both came on at roughly the same time, and because they involved, you know, strange characters. I think they were often compared.
The reaction that people got from seeing the Addams Family and the Munsters, which came out at the same time, was they got a little bit of reaction just from the fact that these were somewhat horror characters and they had snakes and skulls and things that are not normally around in everyday life, but they were generally received fairly well and became very popular very quickly.
The Addams Family, along with the Munsters, had respectable ratings. So it's really odd why both series were yanked after just 2 years. That's the mystery of it all. And I think both shows could have lasted at least another season or two. There was really never a great explanation given to the cast and to the production company. So that's the mystery of it all.
Well, enough work for tonight. To bed, querida. To bed.
To bed, darling.
I think the Addams Family, to me, is different than any other show ever done, actually. And mainly it's due to the characters. The characters are so off the wall, so bizarre. And I think that alone put it into a total different category.
I think that the Addams Family paved way for freakish characters on television. And I think just it's an amalgam of so many talents that that's why it appealed to me. And it's just really well-crafted comedy. It is. It's a show that will never come around again. They just can't recreate it.
The Addams Family has struck a chord with people, and as Charles Addams' works did, and it's continued on after the run of the TV series. The whole theme draws from Charles Addams' work, which is still an endearing work, and it continues from the 1940s on today.
I think everybody wants to kind of see the normal people being made fun of, you know? You always want to, you want to see the people that have the nice car and the nice house, but yet the Addams Family saw past all that. You know, they knew that there was something fishy about those people.
We all are different, and our families reflect our culture. And the Addams Family was a family whose culture was preeminent in their home. It informed them, it gave them security, it defined who they were. And so that's why we, as a nation of unusual people from all walks of life, we still go back to the Addams Family and can relate to it.
It's an interesting fact that in the first couple of years of the show, there were a number of articles written by psychiatrists who proclaimed the Addams Family the healthiest show on the air. And one of the things they pointed out is while these people are strange on the outside, on the inside, they're solid human beings who care about other human beings. And it's a good example.